But science, by definition, allows for more than one opinion. Otherwise, you merely have the will of one man, which is the basis of cult.
If it's not in frame, it doesn't exist.
I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not gonna take this anymore!
I'm funny how? I mean funny like I'm a clown and you lose you?
Where you been?
Drunk. Wendy? Darling? Light of my life.
What's your one purpose in life?
To explode, of course.
I like death with sex. How about you, Casey? You like sex with death?
Yeah, so fuck off and die.
This is our last car movie. I'm gonna
like
find a way.
Car movies for 4 months.
It's because we did for we never do it that often, but every now and again it comes into alignment where we do 5 movies a month instead of 4. So this month it does feel like it's like we did too many, and I would have been happy to stop at Sorcerer.
I know, actually, kind of like Sorcerer was a high.
I would have
note,
went
and
out on a high note.
This is definitely a lot more subdued. I love this movie, but I know we'll get into it.
I feel bad because it's like
we can on
We'll
top of that, you also have
okay. This is the Cult of Cinema Knowledge podcast. That's Jordan. I'm Levi. Today we're tiptoeing around it. Yeah, we're talking about fucking Drive, right? Because it's Drive month. You heard the whole thing. We're talking about Drive, the 2011 movie, Nicholas Winding Refn, which we're gonna say his name probably wrong a million times.
Wrong a million times.
We did it go listen to our Valhalla Rising episode. We butchered it then, and we're gonna butcher it now. And, the Ryan Gosling one that everyone was jizzing about 10 years ago. So, this movie. This fucking movie.
I thought this was gonna be Driver based on the 2004 video game.
Well, dude, I wish. Dude, I played the living fuck out of
Or maybe even
all the drivers.
Earlier, 2002 or something.
Oh yeah, buddy.
Those Driver.
Yeah. I wasn't allowed to have GTA, so I had Driver 3. Okay, for a long time.
I remember it. It was just as violent. I don't understand why you couldn't have. I guess maybe it was a little.
I should go back and play it now because I remember thinking it was like the dopest graphics back then.
This movie's kind of like the Driver video games, where like he's a silent character that runs around and beats people up.
Yeah, this seems like it could be a video game. It wishes it was. We were just talking about video games. We got to shut up about it.
It's based off a novel, dude.
Oh, really? I didn't notice that.
In the opening credits, it's like based on the novel. Something I was like, what?
It's the most generic plot ever. Anyway,
well, I wonder actually now. Like I saw that and I was like, oh, future me should look that up. And here's future me now, and I didn't look it up. So,
I bet you. I mean, yeah, if they made a novel of that, would be interesting. So, real quick, we'll get into first impressions, but. Real quick, let's just try and run down a synopsis for the folks at home who, if you haven't seen it in a while or whatever, right? Because the plot is completely forgettable. I guarantee you, all you remember, listener, is, unless you watched it recently, if you haven't watched it since release, it's like Ryan Gosling just going around and then Christina Hendricks gets shot in the head with a shotgun.
I know, right? Yeah.
So. Drive, right? It's starts up. Follows this driver, criminal, whatever, nameless protagonist. He is like a getaway driver for crimes and shit, but he's also he's a stunt driver on the side, and he's got like a mechanic also, and he works for Bryan Cranston, who's like the scrappy, like he's such a greedy little scumbag in this. Is kind of great.
Well, no, he reminds me a lot of the Cooler.
Yeah,
he's like he reminds me of that character where it's like he got caught up with some like gang members or whatever. It's like mobster kind of like street affiliated gangster, kind of nondescript racist.
He's always into money. Like he's just always like. He's always wants money, but it's always just because it's like he's always into someone for money. You know what I mean?
And he's that kind of guy. He's got a hope and a dream, so that's why we love him.
So he's Ryan Gosling's got his whole fucking thing, and then he has sexy eyes with his neighbor, and they kind of have a weird chemistry, and he like meets her son and is like, oh, you guys really cool, And then Oscar Isaac, which I completely forgot was in this movie. He's the
I know,
dad. He
right.
shows up out
And,
of
like,
prison.
Oscar Isaac's too good for them. Like,
This cast is horribly underutilized in my opinion because this cast is stacked.
But it's stacked, dude. But it's stacked right on the cusp, like right when they all were like even Ryan Gosling, honestly, was like right when they're all like coming up to their stardom.
Yeah,
like I feel like it's like
that's true, but it's like Breaking Bad. We'll get into it, but Breaking Bad was right in the middle of it. Mad Men was really in the still going, you know.
Yeah,
pretty sure. Fucking anyway, Oscar Isaac, yeah, he wasn't quite there yet, but so he gets involved with the dad comes home from prison. It's Oscar Isaac. Ryan Gosling like gets involved with him because it's all like they're pissing contests, but then he's like, I'm into it for some money too. And he's like, all right, I'll help you so you can get out of it and your kid can be safe because I care about them. Even though this is the most dialogue, like he doesn't say that. He doesn't say shit really, but
yeah.
So he goes along with him on this job, and Christina Hendricks, just some random chick, but it's like the guy that set it up that he's into the money for is like obviously a shady douchebag, and so they go. Oscar Isaac, Ryan Gosling, and Christina Hendricks, they all go fucking rob this like gas station or this pawn shop. Yeah, pawn shop.
Yeah.
And you know, she walks out with a giant bag of money. He gets shot. It's like a whole setup. There's another car. There's a crazy car chase through like fucking the mountains of Southern California or whatever. And they get back to this hotel, and there's like a setup. It was too much money. It's like $1 million. And so some guys come to shoot him up. Kills Christina Hendricks. He gets away. He tracks down the dude that set it up, who's like works at the strip club. He like threatens him, and he's like, "Tell me who's your boss?" And he's like, "I just want to give the money back," and fucking blah blah blah. He finds out it's Ron Perlman's character, who's also in this.
I love that. I love Ron Perlman, and he's amazing. But like in this,
he looks like he's having fun because he's just be a mobster douchebag to the max, and that's like
right, and like kind of play your like your type.
Yeah, he plays it up like what he looks.
He's literally in 2 scenes, so he's not really.
Well, and this is around again. Most
scene.
people at the time probably knew Ron Perlman from Sons of Anarchy, which was going on at the time, and because I watched this with Mary the other night, and she's like, that's where she knows Ron Perlman from, the Sons of Anarchy.
Yeah.
So he's one of the guys Bryan Cranston's into for the money, and it's like, oh shit, the money's his, and so but he's like doing this whole revenge thing because he's a dick, and so he chases him down, and Ron Perlman's character and this other guy they're tying up loose ends, so they kill Bryan Cranston's character, but Ryan Gosling ain't having none of it, so he fucking puts on a mask for some reason because it looks cool. Like, that's the whole point of this movie. They do things because it looks cool. So he puts on a cool mask, and he kills Ron Perlman, drowns him in the ocean, and he goes to give the dude his money back and gets stabbed, and he's like, he just wants her to be safe and her kid to be safe, but she's like not about it because it's like he got her husband killed, and it's like all caught up in it, and like, I thought you were different, But yeah, so he kills a bunch of people in revenge, and then he gets stabbed, but he's like maybe okay, and he drives off into town he leaves the money because it was never about the money for him, and so he drives into the night, as the title might suggest to you, to some like synth wavy type fucking shit, and yeah,
yeah,
it's the whole movie.
I mean, yeah, this movie is like how the kids call it's a mood. This is really like this is a mood. This is a vibe.
Honestly, we were just talking about Furiosa before this, and I'm like, if he would have leaned more, like, because every time this movie doesn't work, it's the plot. It's like how everything feels. It feels very unnatural. It feels very written. Like, if he would have leaned more into the vibes, almost like just fully absolutely committed, very minimal plot, and just like made it be more of this vibe piece, I think it would have been a much more effective movie. It would have been a completely different movie because it wouldn't have been based on a fucking book.
Yeah, well, no, and the book, I would assume that the book, I mean, who knows? Maybe it's a faithful adaptation, but I assume that it takes very minimal from the book, and just he adds his own style. Because the first fun fact of the night, this movie was heavily improvised, and the main character, like, I want to read the script really bad, and I kind of wish I did before this, but Ryan Gosling every scene he had dialogue. So it's like he has like a dialogue driven character development with Irene, I think it's the woman, or
Irene,
whatever,
that's right.
the woman. So it's like he is supposed to have more speaking roles.
Yeah.
But
Carey
when
Mulligan.
when Ryan Gosling was working with, the director, he wanted to. He's like, let's change this character, and have him be like super moody and super mysterious, and then everyone else will play off of him. And that's why whenever he's with Bryan Cranston talks a lot, and all of Bryan Cranston's dialogue is improvised. He's just rambling on.
Bryan Cranston crushes it. I mean, honestly, all the performances in this are
Right.
good.
I love it. I feel
Yeah.
like when this, I know what you're saying. When this movie is humming and it's going,
Yeah.
like it gets it all right. It does a really good job. But then they're like, I mean, I don't know though. I'm struggling to like see your point necessarily.
I'll get
because
to it.
I love this movie, and so like I don't have
So
any issues with like the silence, because I think that they get their point across. I mean, I think that like having this stuff, I think it would have been a better movie without all the mob stuff. Just basically make it where he's a mechanic stunt driver in the day and a getaway driver at night. And then that is the crux.
The mob stuff
He gets in a bad drive. He gets in a bad...
like it made it seem smaller than it actually was too, because it's like these two separate things are connected to the one other character that's in the movie. Like obviously he's the bad guy. Like it feels very like.
I think if
budget.
anything, it should have been like Bryan Cranston's character is still with the mob, but that's off screen, and Ryan Gosling, he's a getaway driver, and they don't need to cross.
Well,
it just needs to
honestly,
do those things and.
Yeah, no, I agree, because like it doesn't need to come circle like that, because honestly normally I like it when it's like, oh, it's all connected, but in this case, like I said, it makes it feel small, where it's like, I don't know, it's just like
agree.
everything and like too coincidental.
It's very rushed. The ending is very like it's very convenient.
Yeah,
like he gets
fine.
to kill everyone.
See,
but it's a sick scene when he crashes into him and they pull off and he's like on the cliff sides, and it's like like we're playing Grand Theft Auto, Miami Vice.
We'll come back to it, but that's probably my favorite scene in the movie. But it's like, it makes sense what you were saying about, because I didn't know this, but what you were saying that like that it was like improvised, and he regularly had a lot more dialogue and was like this more like fleshed out character, which makes a lot of sense, because my biggest problem is that I don't buy the chemistry between the two of them. Feels so stilted. The fucking chemistry between him and anyone, it feels like the movie wants there to be chemistry, and it's like it has like the mood music, and it has like, oh, he's like falling in with this family, and he feels a connection, but it's just cold silence. Like it just doesn't work, dude.
It's because
drop the plot or make him a real character.
I know you like Ryan Gosling enough.
I like Ryan Gosling,
but I am smitten.
I was there in the OG days, man. Dude, I'm there with Full Nelson.
Full Nelson, and what is that, the basketball one? What's the?
Yeah, he's like the teacher that's addicted to crack.
Yeah, right.
That one's fun.
But dude, when he's got his like toothpick and he just smiling,
he's great. He's super hot,
and he's so hot. That's like, you can't literally. I'm just like he's a heartthrob in this, and so that the comparison to like. Fucking Rebel Without a Cause. Like that's the vibe I get with this.
Well, here's the thing. You're not wrong at all, because he is like, he's great and his mood is great. Like his character's not even bad. Like I'm not saying I wish he talked more, and I'm not saying any of that. I'm just saying he feels like he's kind of from a different movie, and he brings the vibe with him into like this what would be like a family drama crime story. That's all the plot. That does not connect. Like he feels like he walked out of a movie and he tried to bring the movie with him, and so it just doesn't fit with everything else. I love what he's doing. I just hate how that character interacts with the plot. It just feels so unbelievable to me, and I kept feeling constantly like this is a movie. Like I was not in the fucking zone, other than the scenes like you're saying where it really fires off. Anytime it was about plot, sucked. But like the fucking opening sequence, the drive sequence, like anything that was like a tension building sequence, the fucking hotel, the chase scene, near all the revenge shit near the end, great. Anytime it had to do with character development or plot, felt fucking out of place. Like, either make it this or just have it be like whatever the book is, which is probably like he's a real character, he's a real guy, and it's like I like the brooding character, it didn't like they cut him down without cutting anything else down.
No, for sure there were times where like it was too awkward when he wasn't speaking and like he needed to say a line. Like she would literally come up with like, so what are you doing this afternoon?
Yeah.
And he would have his toothpick and he'd be looking up at her and he'd be like
Cars.
and that's it.
Yeah.
No, he'd just like laugh.
Yeah.
He'd just like laugh and take the toothpick out. And then it would cut and I'm kind of like, well, this is like I like that. Though are the scenes like that where I'm like, this is very movie-esque. Like and it seems kind of like he's, I don't know, I wonder where this was in the editing process, because I feel like this is like a really poorly edited film where like I feel like they shot a lot of stuff and then we're like, all right, we're just going to cut around this and then just put music to it and have him like driving, make it like more montagey through the whole movie. So
Nicholas Winding Refn, I really like him in theory. You know what I mean? Because it's like,
I mean, I think we loved.
I like Valhalla Rising more than this, and I'm one of the few people that liked Only God Forgives. Right? I still really want to see the Neon Demon. Like I like this guy, but he's not.
I want to see his Pushers. I want to see his Pusher
series. Yeah, I want to see Pusher.
I really like Bronson. I mean,
I forgot about Bronson. I like Bronson.
It's just that was like one of the first things I saw. I think I saw this first and then Bronson afterwards, and like. I like Bronson a lot. Maybe I saw Valhalla Rising first. I don't even remember.
I definitely saw Bronson before this, but I wasn't thinking about. I was thinking about just Tom Hardy. You know, like how much I like Tom Hardy, right? So I would need to watch it again. Right. I think.
No, I'm sure the movie isn't that great. I remember the movie, like, I don't know, feeling like an episode of Arrested Development was a lot more violent.
Yeah.
But like, dude, that his violence in that on that note is so good. I completely forgot about it because I'm like, I remember in Drive. It being violent, and I'm like, sure, yeah, I remember. And like Ryan Gosling, he is a good he played a good bad guy, dude. I was like, my panties were sopping when I was watching this. Like
the scene,
when he's got the hammer and he's with that guy. I'm like, he's.
That's when it's hitting. That's when it's hitting, baby.
So crazy.
Like that is a great scene.
Yes,
and
like that, he does such a good job. He's such a good actor. Like I can't even.
Well, the scene where he stomps that dude's head into fucking mush in the elevator, like that. Would have been a really effective scene to show beyond the mask of like, because it was effective, where it's like, oh, this guy that's like almost falling into this loving family man type role that he like maybe wants deep down is actually just a fucking violent psychopath to his core, or at least has that tendency because like the mask is off. Yeah, the mask is off in that scene.
He's such a weird recluse that is violent, but like. He's like trying to extend his little like love tendrils out there, but he just like he can't. He's got so much violence inside of him, and I can change him. I think I can change him.
But I'm like, I feel like that's being generous. Like I feel like the movie wants to say that, but it doesn't really succeed in saying that. But I get what it was like going for, kind of like. I don't know. I feel like for me, anyway, obviously this movie was his most popular movie by a mile, but like I feel like. Overall, it was a swing and a miss, and so it's like I appreciate it, and I like a lot of the stuff it does right. But yeah, dude, the violence, you know us here, we're a bunch of gore hounds. We're constantly always like, stomp his head in.
we're like Cannibal Holocaust was nothing.
We literally we're like
edgelords.
Yeah, it was great. Yeah, exactly. But
so like the violence of this, but like when Christina Hendricks gets her brain blasted out,
I forgot about that. Well, it's funny because I thought this movie had come out sooner. So this came out in 2011. We graduated high school in 2008. And I remember, so our high school teacher, Brandon Arnold, we talked about him a little bit in the past. I hope he's listening. If he is, shout out.
Yeah.
But I remember him saying specifically he really liked the movie, but he hated the violence because he's like a clean flicks guy. And so he was so bummed. He was like, yeah, the movie was really, really good, but it was too violent. Like if it wasn't for the shocking violence to come out of nowhere, he's like, it would have been great. But that like it threw me off, and I remember being like, that was the best part. Like that was the violence,
right?
And I stand by that because his his practical effects are always really dope. And go like we talked about in Valhalla Rising, like early on, it's a lot of like practical, like gore. Like he loves crushing heads, like just with a wig on and like a melon in it or whatever. But it looks good.
And he likes extensive, like kind of like right to the. There's like 3 or 4 more beats where it's like he gets an R rating guaranteed. Like he could, if he worked with like MPAA, they'd probably be like, all right, like you get 5 whacks, but he's like, no, I need like 7.
I know.
Like
he cuts in there like very close to giving him that NC-17. Like,
yeah,
because it is like you don't see, and I think it's kind of was so shocking, especially the first time for me, but this time even too, because it's like Christina Hendricks. We're a big Mad Men fan. Like she is amazing in Mad Men.
I am really bummed that she is nothing in this.
She's
I remember
nothing
her,
in this.
But like on this rewatch, I was like, oh my god, she like has 2 lines.
She has like 2 lines, like, and they're all like, oh, please, you know. But
yeah,
the fact that like we were like, it is almost like a casting subversion where it's like, oh, super hot Christina Hendricks is like this chick. You think she's caught up in it. She has 2 lines. You know, an hour into the movie, and then she gets her fucking head blown off with a shotgun. You know what I mean? Like it's like,
right. And that's same with Oscar Isaac.
Right.
He's in it. He has like 3 scenes, and you're getting to know him, and like it's like you're sympathetic to him.
This cast is too hot, man. This cast is too hot.
The cast is on fire, dude. Are you kidding me? Like Oscar Isaac.
This is the sexiest cast.
Like, yeah, dude. I really like for how tight this is.
Even Carey Mulligan's like mousy little face, like.
I know,
but like Oscar
I'm
Isaac, Christina Hendricks, Ryan fucking Gosling, man, like get out of here.
Oscar Isaac, dude. And
Bryan Cranston, like,
dancing,
yeah,
like, and yeah, even Bryan Cranston's that like he's got daddy energy for sure. Dude. It's like crazy.
Yeah.
But no, it's like like oh my god, dude. We're like I know we're doing it. We're just simping over these guys. But
it's true.
But I do think it's funny because she's just whatever. Okay, Christina Hendricks, she's amazing. I wish she had more. And then Carey Mulligan. She I really liked her character, and I actually thought it was really fun. She's the subversion of like manic pixie dream girl. Like she is like she's like kind of I don't know. She's subdued and broken, but kind of like down to have fun and dangerous. But like she's also just a mom. I don't know.
She is but to me, she feels like even a more stripped down version of like the archetype of like. Yeah, I'm a single mom because like, and his dad is bad, you know, but I'm just trying to do what's right by my kid. Like I've seen that a million times and it's just like, oh, like she just feels like a fucking 2-dimensional archetype. And so does everyone. And that's what bums me out.
No, I totally agree. Like this movie could have been, I think it like, for me personally, this movie, it really does like, it scratches an itch.
It does. It scratches a certain itch. I get
And you know it has enough. It's punctuated by enough violence and enough like moody Ryan Gosling that I'm like, I'm on board. I'm down. But the soundtrack really is what like. If it's like punches it up.
I wish it was. I remember it being because all the posters too. I remember this movie being more neon, more synthwave.
Yeah,
and it is.
It's really not.
It is, but not as much as I remember. In my memory, it was just.
Same.
It was basically Hotline Miami. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's kind of right. Like I just like that's what I mean. It's like
head stomps and everything. You know what I'm saying? That's what they should have just done. Because I do feel like he's like I don't know if Hotline Miami was out at this time. I don't think it was yet. But it's no, that was like 2015 or 2016 or something. But
yeah.
It does feel like Ryan Gosling's like, yeah, I just played that game and I want to be that guy. You know what I mean?
I know, right?
He's like, I want a rooster mask.
But that is something that
which would have been
right
a better movie. Honestly.
I mean, he kind of had that. I mean, that his mask is terrifying. It's
I would
really
watch
cool.
the fuck out of a Nicholas Winding Refn Hotline Miami, where it's like Ryan Gosling is like you don't know it's him. He's in the mask the whole time, but then you see him. It's Ryan Gosling. That's what I want. It's the Drive sequel.
Ryan Gosling is cool. He does so much stuff. Like he's not afraid to do.
He kind of does.
I mean, I don't know. I guess this is kind of one of the most violent movies he's ever done.
Yeah.
But I mean, The Place Beyond the Pines is kind of his. That's like.
I need to see that
soft,
really. I've only seen like a bit of it. Yeah.
That's like a soft, whatever reboot or soft remake, essentially.
Yeah. Fucking Ryan Gosling, man. Like I don't know what it is about him because he's pretty great, but I feel like he always either plays like, and I really loved Barbie, his role in Barbie, but like
Yeah, he was great as Ken.
But I'm still like, I'm sad that's his Oscar, like, quote unquote moment in the sun, because I feel like he has the potential to do a really good dramatic role, but he hasn't yet. Because his best role, in my opinion, is fucking Nice Guys, right?
Dude. So but that's the thing. I'm looking through this and like his character in Big Short's fun, but like Lars and the Real Girl.
Oh,
I know,
yeah.
it's super.
I forgot
that's
about that,
Dripping,
yeah.
That's dripping with like indie kind of sleaze, but it's got
like that
it's
Ryan
quirky
Gosling though.
and
Yeah.
cute. Yes, that is the Ryan Gosling I like. Where he's. It's funny because he plays against type. He's kind of like how we're so mad at John Hamm because John Hamm's funny.
Fucker.
He's hot and funny, so it's like impossible. And that's Ryan
And an
Gosling.
amazing dramatic
Ryan Gosling
act.
can do- Ryan Gosling does a great performance of being like a weird schlubby loner, but kind of a creep.
Yeah,
almost,
he could be like,
but,
the
lovable.
brooding, the fucking like my wife would say, the smoldering eyes. You know, he does like the fucking sexy brooding energy, or he's like the goofy, lovable curmudgeon, right? Like those are his kind of two things, and so it's like he's obviously kind of both as Ken in Barbie, right? And he's
Yeah,
definitely the
right,
brooder in this movie, but it's like I want to see him just do like a really just crazy range dramatic character, like fucking like not even like a subtle Casey Affleck in Manchester by the Sea. I'm looking for like a big like a big one. Like I want a big old one to see like all his range just to see him do something. But
I clearly I love him as K in Blade Runner. I mean that's
he's
my
great.
favorite movie. That's my favorite movie with Ryan Gosling.
And
But,
it's
like,
so good.
He's fucking stellar, and I think we.
Well, and he picks good fucking movies to be in too, you know. And he always
That's all right. That's what was. I was like, where are we going? This is a tangent. I can't remember, but
Well,
it's
he
that.
brings-
I love the projects that he takes on.
Yeah.
And his collaboration is amazing because he collaborated really heavily on this film, and like he helped a lot to create the character. And I feel like that's what's fun is like the Refn gets a lot of creative control in his films. And so, like, love him or hate him, and
that's
they
what I
show it.
appreciate because, like I said before about like Eli Roth, like I've never liked anything he's done particularly, like that much, but I'm really rooting for him because he's got something, and I feel the exact same way about NFR, no NWR, sorry,
right.
It's like none of his movies have really blown me away, but if you asked me, I would be like, oh yeah, I'm a fan. You know what I mean? Because I am. Like I'm like, because what he brings to it is great. Even though I think it feels like his movies want to be music videos more than they want to be narrative features, and he should just kind of lean into it. Do a fucking, Frank Miller, like we were saying, like do something that is so much. Because if this movie had less narrative, I think it'd be 1,000 times better. Like a more of a vibe, more of an ambiguous style narrative.
It almost, right, or more even
trying to push like the weird,
more stripped down narrative.
Yeah, just like thin it out a little bit because it does feel thin already. So I think what's there, I think that's why I'm bummed, is because it's like what is there is enough for me to care about because it's obviously put pretty front and center. Like this is, you can't say, like I say a lot of movies, like it's not about the plot, so it's fine. It's not about the characters, it's fine. It's Pacific Rim, whatever, move on. But in this, I'm like, you can't, because it does spend so much time trying to build this chemistry, trying to build like this scenario and like these connections that just like don't ever get there, which sucks because like we were saying about Ryan Gosling, his brooding, like he brings so much energy to this role for how little dialogue he has. Like even though the cast is great, he does kind of make this movie.
For sure.
For sure. His presence is felt. And his acting is cool.
I think what's dope is, well, of course, yeah. But I think what's great is, like, for as freaking stilted and, like, as kind of, I don't know, zigzaggy the plot is, it's like, I understand every scene.
Oh, yeah.
And that is cool. Like, to me, I think that's a big, like, marker in my enjoyment is that every scene, I'm like, oh, it's kind of fun that they got away with this. Like, even when I feel it's ridiculous, I think it's cool that they got away with, like, just kind of silent acting. Like him.
It is. It's really clear.
Language and, Yeah, that's what's kind of nice. It's clear, but with just him being like, I think I'm gonna go for a drive. You wanna go for a drive? And then it's just like a music video for 4 minutes, and
it could have been.
And then they come back. They come back, and it's like, right, exactly. I think that's what's nice is like this isn't a slog to get through.
Yeah,
that's important. So and that's like this is kind of one of those movies where I'm like, I like it, and if you don't like it, I get it. I don't think and I don't really know if this could be like. Well, I could actually see this being someone's favorite movie because of it's just so saturated in style.
It was right place, right time too. You know what I mean? I feel like when it came out, it was like, oh yeah, that was like filling kind of a void, and I guess that's why I think of it as being more like, retro wave and like synth wave than it was because I feel like it helped kick that off a little bit.
All I can think about is freaking the different ideas of how this movie should have been created. Because it would have been cool if this was just like 4 vignettes. Because it would have been fun to see a washed up race car driver hire his like mechanic friend who's kind of like just kind of slow, just doing whatever he does, just kind of soft spoken, quiet, and he like trains him to be a race car driver, and like we get to see that movie, like that arc. Because it's like this movie does feel like that. Now that like we're talking about it, I'm thinking about all the like plot lines in this movie. There's so much for how simple this movie is. There is a lot of things that they introduce, and like it does flow together just fine. But there's so much where I'm like, wow. I mean, the race car is kind of fun. I wanted more about that. Him being a stunt driver is really cool. I want to know more about that.
Yeah.
Him being a getaway driver is really cool. I'd love to know more about that.
There's a lot going on that all comes together like fine, but like I think that's what we were saying. It doesn't feel in the moment like it's too much, but because it is so much, it feels underbaked, right? And so it's just like, had they chosen one angle to focus on, or like broken it up in a way that was kind of structured differently, like a vignette style or something like that, like I feel like they could have committed to one idea at a time more, because it did feel like, since they were doing like, this part's a family drama, this part's like a crime thriller, this part's the weird daddy energy, like there was a lot going on without being too much, but it's just like, for how many vibes they were going for in under 100 minutes, it just like, the meat seemed a little lean, you know what I mean? Like, and not in a good way. But well, let me tell you it's not even a complaint, it just has to do with expectations. But another thing that bums me out is this movie starts with such a high. The opening scene is so fucking good. Like, that's like a 10 out of 10 for me. The opening scene, like the opening getaway scene.
And seems huge. That seems so worldly, so big. And how it's shot, it's so simple, dude.
It's tense as fuck,
They have a spotlight off of like a bridge, and then they have the radio playing, and then he's just driving. It's very simple, but it's edited really well. It really is. That is kind of like unfortunate, where like it does kick you off, and you think that like, oh my god, this is going to be Baby
Buckle
Driver.
up.
That's the whole like when
made
Baby
me want to
Driver
watch
came
Baby
out.
Driver.
I mean, that's right, exactly. The whole time I was watching this, I was like, oh, like Baby Driver got it right.
Yeah,
like
I think Baby Driver has some of the same issues in the back half a little bit, but I think it nails it more because it does lean into the style more, and it commits to the premise of the getaway driver much more.
Right. It's more linear.
The love chemistry, honestly, this does have a lot of similarities to Baby Driver, which I think Baby Driver is a far superior movie. But I mean, it's Edgar Wright. What are you gonna do? You can't go against Edgar Wright, man.
I mean, that is tough because I think that like
it's not even his best movie, not even close.
No, that is true, 100%.
It's
like,
still great.
Edgar Wright is really, he crushes it. But that's the whole time I was watching this, I was like, oh, Baby Driver's cool. I'm glad that both these movies exist. I do
100%.
Films, so
yeah. Like, I hope that if you listen to this podcast, I hope you know that our stance, even if we don't like a movie, and it's like, I didn't even hate this movie. I was just kind of disappointed a little bit. Like, there's a lot I like about it. But, like, no matter what, we're always, like, really glad we've watched it. And, like, I just like watching and talking about movies, even if, like, so I'm obviously glad it exists. You know what I mean? And I'm glad people love it. Like, because I get it. You know what I mean? I get it. I'd get a fucking scorpion back tattoo, you know?
Hell yeah. Dude,
I'm gonna
I
go
want-
buy
yeah,
some
exactly.
driving gloves for sure.
I clearly want. He really is. He's such an easy character to emulate. Like, you want to be his character, and I think that's why I like. I mean, like, Rebel Without a Cause is like that's the big one I was thinking of, because we're in driving movies this month, you know, and like we were talking about Bullet, and we kept getting him mixed up, and I'm already forgetting his name, which is so funny because we should watch his movies. He's only done 3 of them. What is his name? Why?
Do
why
I
did this
forget?
happen to me?
Dean
Why is this happening to
something?
me? Yeah,
James
Dean.
Dean.
My God. So yeah, we should. We
I
need to
did.
make
I was
fun of-
like Steve McQueen. No, that is the guy from Bullet.
I know, Steve McQueen. God damn it.
And he lived. He's not the one who died young. That's
No,
James Dean.
James Dean. He
All right.
died before his time.
But yeah, no, I remember the opening scene so vividly, because like I didn't remember, like I said, I didn't remember much about this movie because I haven't seen it since release. I remember being underwhelmed back then, but I wrote in my Reddit post, at least like in the main post, is I thought that a lot of my criticisms came from it being overhyped, because at the time, obviously, it was like, oh, Drive, like, it's so stylish, you know, and it's cool, and it's fucking gritty violence, which it is.
Okay.
But,
hey, no, dude. So Hotline Miami was this movie inspired.
that
Hotline-
okay,
Hotline
that 100% makes sense.
Right. That's Jonathan Soderstrom or whatever
Yeah.
who made the game. He was 100%. I'm going through reading the little factoids, and that's a fun one that lines up there.
It
I think
is.
one of the coolest things that like is super sexy is Ryan Gosling fixed up. He got that 1973 Chevy that he drives in this. He fixed it up. He bought it, fixed it up for the movie.
Good for him.
So yeah, that's
that's
sexy.
cool.
Ryan Gosling's already
That's
hot enough.
him just sweaty, covered in grease, fixing a muscle
Yeah.
car?
Yeah.
For real? Like,
Yeah, I know, right? Like, dude, when he that's what sucks, man. There's like so much in this movie that like it gets the point across just fine, and lets my imagination run wild. But like, I love like when he's just alone in his apartment and he's got that magnifying glass with the light and he's fixing that carburetor. Like, I'm just like, who is this man? I love him. I want
Yeah.
I want to get to know him more.
well, it was a smart choice that I guess apparently was largely in part to Ryan Gosling to make him this more like mystique, you know? Because
Well,
it's like
he
it
wanted
does
to be a
make him more.
superhero.
It does make
That's
him more
his-
interesting. Well, he's a super villain, kind of.
I know,
But
that's kind of the thing. But I mean, Batman beats people to death too.
Dude,
So it's like
I know. I hope in the next Batman movie, Robert Pattinson just crushes a guy's skull in an elevator until he's drenched in blood.
yeah. I don't know, until his love interest is just horrified.
I know. That's what's great too. It's because it's like, and that's why I was saying earlier. Like, I really like that moment because it's just like the whole like, playing house fantasy in his mind. Because like,
Yeah.
I did say in my comments that like, an argument could be made that the coldness of this movie, the detachedness of the directing and the chemistry of the characters could be, since we're watching the film from the perspective of the driver who is cold and ambivalent. I do think that is a little generous, but I think if you look at it through that light, that it kind of works a little bit better. So I am trying to tell myself kind of that, like, oh, you know, it's all that, because it's like he has this idea of being this like family man and like being this, and like how maybe it reminds him of his childhood. Who the fuck knows?
Right, yeah.
But
He's an enigma.
it all comes. It feels really shallow to me as the viewer, and it's because he can't really process that correctly, and so it all comes crashing down when she does not go for it at all. Like, and so I like that she, like, it really easily could have been like, he saves the day, he whisks her and her son away into the sunset, but it's like, I really like that it's like, no, she's fucking horrified, he's a violent killer, and he's driving away alone with his like, I guess his like righteousness, his like dignity. He leaves the money, but he's like stabbed. He might not even make it. Like in the
Right.
night, everything's
I mean,
dark. He's on the
that's-
run potentially.
he does like.
But he does save
theoretically
them, right?
Save the day.
He does,
Right. 'Cause
he
he
does.
kills like the only person that's left that's tied to the crime is the guy he kills.
Potentially
you know,
it
so
leads
it's
to a
kind of
bigger
like-
world, but he leaves the money, and so nobody's going to chase him. They have no reason to go after him so they're safe. You know, he sacrifices it so that they're safe. So it works. I really like that element. It just feels underplayed. I feel like if they would have leaned into that, it would have been good, because I do think seeing it through that lens is better for me, and so I want to enjoy it more. So I do try to put it in that lens where it's just like, oh yeah, but I don't think it was on purpose. I don't think Nicholas Winning Rife was like, yeah, so this scene, just pretend like don't have any chemistry at all because, you know, the driver's so cold and detached. It's like, no, they were trying to give it chemistry. Like the music was there, everything was there.
Yeah. But I think that goes to show that like this movie does work really well on both aspects of just superficially watching on what's on screen and understanding the vibe and getting it, and then being a viewer like you and myself who want to like dig deeper and who want to know, like, we want to get into the mind of like the writer and the director and the characters, and like we want to get into the mind of the story itself and like where it is supposed to go. And like we always, like, you know, since we like to create characters ourselves and films ourselves, we're like, okay, we're fleshing out this character way beyond what we're seeing in between the parameters of the film.
Yeah, I'm like, he's obviously doing that because of his childhood. And it's like, where are you getting that from?
Right. Exactly.
I'm filling in the gaps.
That's what we do with like, yeah. I mean, that's kind of what we do with every character we watch of every show, where that's what's like credit to good movies, where you can get that idea where like The Master or something like that, where like you know who this character is because of their past.
That movie's wet.
Shown.
Yeah.
That movie is wet, dude. Yeah, this movie's damp at most.
Well,
but it's beautiful.
No, this movie's just blue-balled me. Like, it was wet. I think that's why I feel like I've been harsh on this movie.
The cast is wet, dude.
And it starts so strong, and it has so many elements that are strong. But like I get in this argument with Pablo all the time. I hope he listens to this episode. He probably won't. But I get into an argument with him all the time about like, I used to be more of like, well, what is it trying to say? What are the characters? And he's just like, no, just I'm having fun at the movies, right?
Yeah.
And I get that, finding that balance. So it's like these last decade, I really do have more of an appreciation for movies that are not about the characters and not about because obviously, like you said, we're like writers, right? So it's like we like that coming at it from that element. But we're also lovers of film and attempted filmmakers. And so, like, I can appreciate a movie for just being a really good visual medium, like just really knocking out of the park for, like, when the style is the substance, right? We always talk about bringing it back to, like, Pacific Rim, like, as a perfect example. Like, I don't care about the fucking... There are characters. Well, there are characters, but it's not about the characters. Like, everything it does in the plot and the character development is perfectly serviceable to what is the main feature, which is the style, which is the spectacle, the music, the fucking everything, which I wish I could do that for this movie. And I think that's why I'm so disappointed, is because this movie dangles the carrot of character development and interesting plot. Like, it has all the potential to do that, but then it never commits one way or another. Like, is this the substance movie, or is this a movie with substance? And it ends up kind of being neither because of that, to me. And I think that's why I'm so disappointed, because when it hits so hard, and I'm just like, it could have been really good, but
I mean, that's a big part of it, is where like I understand, and like that's 100% valid. But then I think it did hit for me, so it like kind of that's like we are both kind of like we're both like the the two opposites on this movie, where we both enjoyed it, but kind of in different ways.
Well, it's interesting, because when we disagree, a lot of the times, it's like, what the fuck are you talking about, man? Like, you're out of your mind. But I think in this case, like, I can 100% see, like, oh yeah, like I can 100% see how this would hit for someone if they were like primed for that. You know what I mean? It just didn't hit for me this time, but I don't think it's bad. You know what I mean? I definitely don't think it's bad. It does a lot really good, and that's why it's like I'm rooting for the old Rifen. But also, as you know, I was having a good time watching this, but my dog like died in the middle of this movie, as I was saying earlier.
So that's what I'm like. I'm actually like. I'm very impressed, and we.
Well, it's not like I kept. It's not like
I
I kept watching it as she died.
yeah,
I fucking.
know,
I fucking took her to the vet, and then I finished it like 2 days later.
yeah. So that kind of.
But
you were interrupted a little bit.
I was. Well, I'm gonna put a stink on it because we were in the middle of the chase scene after Oscar Isaac dies, and so like 2 days later, we're just like yesterday or whatever, we were sitting there, and all bummed out at our house, and Mary's like, "Well, do you want to finish Drive? I guess." I'm like, "I guess," and so we put it on, and it's just like immediately, and we're like, "Oh."
Yeah.
and then we finished it, and it was all just like, nah. Like, we were having a lot of fun when we started this movie, and 2 days later, we're not having fun anymore. And it's like, I can't blame the movie for that. I can't blame.
I know. I mean, but that's how it goes, dude. It's like movies are emotional, and so when you have something traumatic happen, it really can it can put an effect, and it can
Just thank God we weren't in the middle of watching a sad dog movie, man, because there's a lot of those.
Oh my God, I know. Well, yeah, we're gonna do animal movies again one day.
We did animal movies, but next month. Fuck dad movies. Actually, we're gonna do sad dog movies.
We should do.
Old Yeller, Marcy and Me.
No, because I was about to say no. You're gonna want to do like When the Dog Dies movie.
Yeah, dude.
That's too. No,
I want to make everyone else suffer the way I've suffered.
Oh my God, I can't, dude.
Just like the scenes where it tears your heart out when the pet dies.
Anyway. I know you can't watch those movies yet.
No. Well, I'm a masochist, so. But anyway, can you give me, I mean, I don't know where we're at with it, but give me a money minute. I want to talk about our favorite scenes, and I'll find a Reddit. So.
Cool. Yeah. The money minute is kind of what I expected, but honestly a little bit more. It was $15 million to shoot it.
Okay.
And I bet you it was like $10 million to shoot it, and then $5 million for, distribution or something.
That makes sense. Yeah.
It seems so low budget to me.
It's that stacked cast.
I mean, but that's the stack cast, right? And then and they all kind of were like respectively. Well,
the VFX and like obviously the VFX, but in the stunts too, like the driving scene's super dope, and like the committance on practical effects. The other movie I was thinking about while watching every time something super violent would happen was I was thinking of Possessor, and I was like, man, Possessor's a good movie, but it's like also got the like crazy violent scenes, that like really good practical violence,
and very similar editing too, in that pacing for the violence, because it's like I forget about it like that when he like starts stabbing him, and he's like for him to like prove that he's like violent, to prove that he's all in. Just like starts stabbing that dude, and I was like, oh my God, I kind of forgot that like it just is this visceral and it goes on.
Yeah.
But
I forgot when he like rams that rod through that guy's neck, and I'm like, oh shit, like I forgot that. All I remembered was Christina Hendricks getting her head blown off, but
me too. But even
it's like the rest of it's all pretty violent.
Yeah, he shoots that dude and he like bounces off 3 walls, and then he's just like covered in blood.
Yeah,
it's brutal. But it gross. So this is where I'm like. Refn was raking in the dough. This made almost $80 million.
Dang, on like a 10 to 15 budget? That's wild.
Yeah, dude. That's a bonkers,
that's pretty good.
Dude. Like, what is
Makes
that,
sense. This movie was popular, man. That's what I'm saying.
Or more than triple, almost like fucking.
Well,
that's wild.
I respect the guy, because here's the thing. He made this movie, and it was like, and everyone's like, oh shit, he's the next big thing. Nick, like this dude, like he's Dutch or whatever.
Really?
Or
I mean, he did.
But
I guess we're sitting here, Drive, and then Only God Forgives is like his sequel. Duh.
Yeah, I know, but Only God Forgives, like to turn around and make Only God Forgives. Have you seen it?
I did, yeah.
It's like, but like people hate it. People fucking hate it. Only God Forgives, because it is just like
weird. I like it.
It's just I like it because it leans into the grittiness. Like it is even more of a slower vibe piece, but it's just like grimy crime in like Thailand with hot Ryan Gosling and a samurai sword. Like it's dope.
Yeah.
Like it's probably my favorite movie of his. I haven't seen it since it came out either, but
me too. I saw it in theaters and I don't really remember it.
Yeah, the balls on that guy though, to be like, come off a Drive, who had made back like fucking like 5 times its budget or whatever,
Yeah.
and be like, I'm gonna make this movie. Is like, it's like, I don't know, it's kudos to him, because it's like, I'm sad I don't see him around so much. I know he's been doing more TV these last few years.
Right.
He did like 2 entire series, I guess. That I heard are like, if you're into it, they're great, and so I kind of want to check them out, because he did Too Old to Die Young. It's got Miles Teller in it, and then he did this other show that's like actually in. God, I feel bad, like I keep forgetting where he's from. Like he's Dutch or
Well,
something.
there's Copenhagen.
Yeah, Copenhagen.
Cowboy?
That's Copenhagen Cowboy. That's the newer one.
Oh, okay.
I heard that one's pretty good. I heard Too Old to Die Young is good, but like slow. But like if you're in the mood for like his vibe, and I like Miles Teller. But yeah, it's like, I don't know. I'm rooting for him because I still want to see Neon Demon really bad. But that was his last movie, and that was like almost 10 years ago. That was like 8 years ago. Or...
Yeah, and it's one of those movies that we've literally, like, it's been like, we're like, oh, we're either gonna watch this or something else, and we just haven't watched it. And I think it's because I know who he is, and I'm just like,
I know what it's gonna. Yeah,
in the mood.
You got to be in the mood, because I've almost watched Neon Demon like 3 times, and then I've been like, nah. I know it's between that and something else. I always end up watching something else. So maybe, I know it's not like a hardcore horror movie, but Horrortober. We always say that. We'll throw it in Horrortober. Neon Demon almost made it, in I think last Horrortober. It was on the short list.
Yeah, we should put it on, because it totally fits in that like A24 style.
Yeah,
like
sure.
Neon style.
Oh yeah, exactly. So anyway, this is the Clones Are People 2 segment of the show, so of the Reddit. So
Thank you.
He says, my second watch of this, I watched it when it came out because it was hyped up by a lot of people, but I remember not liking it. I didn't remember much except for I didn't like Gosling and it was violent. So on this watch, I felt quite similar, but I was able to appreciate technical elements. It's paced really well, and the film is almost dreamlike at times, with slow scenes and crossfades. The lighting and color really stand out there, and there are some great mood changes with it. The light fading in the elevator or the red face on blue background. But the film loses me in the character, and I don't find him deep, and because of this, I struggle to connect. He just seems like an emotionally stunted psychopath, and I'm not invested in his journey. I think this is something I found with Winning Rife before, where I struggle with his films. I had similar problems with Bronson and Valhalla Rising. I'm mixed on the soundtrack too. I appreciate that it's trying to be prominent in setting the mood, but it's too much for me. The ending song just felt so try-hard in making me think about the narrative. He's a hero. No, he's not. He's a nut job. Overall, often find my enjoyment is higher than my rating, but this is the rare opposite. A 7 out of 10 film that I had a 5 out of 10 time.
Wow. Okay.
I agree with a lot of that, because it's like, I do think
you,
it's,
yeah.
Yeah,
I do. My only thing that I wanna comment on is I actually really like the song, because it's the juxtaposition where it's like he's not a superhero. You know, I think that was poignant. I think they did that on purpose.
Well, it fits with like the idea that we were saying, that it's just like he thinks of himself like that, but it's not really.
I think that Clones Are People too. You had the right reaction to be like, well, that's not how he's portrayed. Like, this is not. And I think that's a short-sightedness from the creator. Like,
I think like the directing, like I said, he's really good at directing music videos. You know what I mean? Like, he's got a really good eye for like setting a tone and setting an atmosphere, but he doesn't have the eye for like directing actors to have good chemistry together and shit.
I think watching him do a miniseries would be great, or it's just
a
series.
I want to check out his shows. Yeah, I want to check
episodes, or 32-minute episodes. Like,
I'd be interested
having him, because he's. Yeah, I think that's where, like, same with that was my thing. That was like kind of, I don't even know if we necessarily commented on it. I'm sure we did with Valhalla Rising, where like, kind of like his movies feel long. Like they don't feel dragging. They don't feel too slow necessarily. But like a lot of times where you're like, this movie would be just as effective in 45 minutes. You know,
his movies are like 100 minutes, but they feel like 2 hours. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
Because even Valhalla Rising, but like Valhalla Rising, I like Valhalla Rising more too, because it does feel like albeit a cheaper
fable
homage to Aguirre, right? The Wrath of God, which,
Right.
but in a Viking setting with fucking what's his face. Which
Well, and it's like I actually, because when we talked about Valhalla Rising, we talked about the Northmen, and I actually kind of like Valhalla Rising more than the Northmen for certain
I get it.
for the mood. That was the thing. This Valhalla Rising so cool, and it's like it like leaned into the mythology, and that's kind of what Drive does. Is it
Yeah,
does
like-
lean into the dreamlike.
Yeah,
the-
Clones
the
of People
dream
too, like
talk
he says. Yeah,
stuff.
exactly. It
Yeah,
does
right.
feel very like, it's dreamlike, ethereal. Like, the crossfades. I was very noticing of like
That's
the,
yeah, right.
the
I forgot,
extreme
like,
close-ups and the
mention it.
crossfades and stuff.
They were actually really cool. It was like cool,
I like
kind
it.
of like old school editing. it
Like,
felt
yeah,
you know,
big
like-
long crossfades. Like I like
Yeah.
that when used right, and I was used right here because I do feel like the editing was, like you said earlier, like kind of bad sometimes. Where it was like it felt very basic. Like you said, it felt like they shot a
it
lot.
felt like they shot a lot and then edited it down. Yeah.
It did, yeah. But when it's not about, when it's those scenes that are like choreographed, fucking. So what? Like real quick, then, what was your favorite part? Because I bet you it wasn't the part when they were fucking falling in love or whatever.
No, of course not. No, I mean I do like.
Or was it a part
I
when he
like-
tussles the kid's hair and it's like, wow,
No.
I really get you, son.
Yeah. Or like him when she's like, you want a glass of water, and he like takes a sip and he's like, thanks, and like that's it. Like that's the whole scene. But like it actually, I do. It's funny because I do like those scenes, but it does make me the whole time I'm watching it, I'm just like, I like the fact that I'm like, this is such a movie. Like it's such a movie.
Yeah.
But like it does, I totally get that that's old. But I don't know. I think the hyperviolence is dope. But then I think that when he puts the mask on and he walks up to the pizza, like
terrifying,
the pizza shop, and
dude.
he's like looking through it. I'm like, that's so cool.
so cool.
I love that gives me like
That minded me
actually
of
gave me, like,
Possessor
chills.
too, a little bit.
Right, big time, yeah. Like it's just that like he puts the mask. It's kind of like he's already wearing a mask and now he's got a mask on, and that mask is like giving him more permission to be.
And it's funny because exactly, it does. Yeah, it gives him the permission to like kind of dissociate. And like, because that's the only purpose it really serves, which is kind of interesting that he chooses that, because it's like he doesn't need his identity not to be known. Like,
I know, right? I know.
'Cause-
But I mean, yeah.
yeah, because my favorite scene is right after that, just because that's the dreamlike and it looked the coolest.
It looks
is
so sick, dude.
when
the
he's
lights
walking
flick
up to
on.
him on the beach and the fucking lighthouse light is just spinning around. He's got that fucking terrifying mask on. And Ron
Are there
Perlman,
lighthouses in LA? I don't even know if there are.
there's some somewhere
There
along the
must-
coast, right? There
be,
must
but
be.
I can't remember.
But yeah, that scene was so cool, and it's just like, and then Ron Perlman's just like, "Oh, you're not gonna do anything," and he like starts to try and escape, and he just fucking drowns him in a wide shot. It's great.
Yeah,
Like
no,
that.
That's a good. Yeah, that was shot really well. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I thought that scene was definitely the highlight. But like the opening scene also, I mean, I think the opening scene's better. Like that's what I remembered most, because like when that spotlight, when you hear him on the camera like looking, and then the spotlight over the
Yeah.
bridge like focuses on them.
Yeah.
It's so cool that it's just like from in the car, like it's not some big sweeping wide shot of like, you never see the outside of the car during that scene. It's all in there with them, you know what I mean?
Well, and you never see the helicopter. You only see like 2 police cars. So
Yeah.
it's like it's shot low budget.
Super
but it's
smart.
really effective.
Super
Really
smart
effective.
filmmaking.
Yeah.
So yeah. So anyway, this movie's a mixed bag is the
Yeah, mixed
But
bag. I mean,
it's got a lot of really good-
I feel like it's definitely worth a watch.
I
But
think it's 100% worth it. You know what I mean? Because like Clones of People 2 said, your mileage may vary, but like he says, this is a 7 out of 10 movie, but he had a 5 out of 10 experience. I feel somewhat similar. Like I feel like some things didn't work for me, and some things could have been done better, but there's, in my opinion, right? But it's like there's nothing I can point to that's like objectively bad, and it's like, so I feel like watch it and form your own opinion, because this might be your favorite movie. You know what I mean?
yeah, I mean, I own it. I bought
I
it.
knew you'd like it way more, even still, because I mean we talked about our like, you really liked it the first time. I didn't like it as much. I liked it more probably this time, even though I dissected it more. But without the hype on me, I was able to appreciate a lot of the like other stuff better.
That really does help, dude. That's where I'm at right now, because with
Expectations,
freaking-
man.
Now everyone with Sub Rosa or whatever. What's it,
Yeah, right.
Furiosa.
Furiosa.
Everyone with Furiosa is like, you got to see it. It's the greatest thing ever made. And I'm like, I don't know.
I didn't
I'm
say
nervous.
that.
I know.
It is good though. You should. It's worth. Furiosa is better than Drive to me.
Oh, okay.
Shocker.
All right. Well, yeah. Well, how about you out there in podcast land? You let us know. What's better, Drive or Furiosa?
They're completely different movies, right? So
They got cars.
That is true, and I'm surprised I did put Mad Max on the poll, but it didn't win. So but like I might go back and watch the old ones because I've not seen them all in their entirety.
Yeah.
Well,
that's like everyone's doing that.
We've
right now.
never done. We've done dystopia, but we've never done a full post-apocalypse. So I want to do that. It's a popular genre anyway, and Mad Max will make it back onto the polls then. So anyway, we're done. I loved Driving Movie Month, but we're fucking done with it.
I know, finally.
It just made me
All
want
right.
to watch more
All right.
driving movies. I mean, I did watch extracurriculars. I went and watched Vanishing Point because of this month, and I never would have otherwise. Not even for the podcast. Not even. I wasn't even forced to watch it through the podcast. I watched it on my own volition because I never even heard about it before this last month. So yeah. But moving on. By the time this comes out, this episode's a little late, so sorry about that. But by the time this comes out, it's pretty much June. So going into June, I thought it would work out because during Bullet, someone mentioned that this is such a dad movie. And I'm like, that'd be a fun category, as well as June is Father's Day. So fuck it. We're doing dad movies this next month. I want to go comment and tell us what dad movies you think we should watch.
I want to know
classical dad movies your dad watched, like everything.
Yes. If you're a dad, what movies do you like?
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah,
and
dad
get on
movie
this, buddy.
doesn't have to mean specifically one thing. So it is kind of like vague, but I want to hear it. So
I think it does, but it's vague. But it definitely.
you
there
know
are
it when you
movies
see it, though.
It's
It's one of those ones where you're like, yeah.
Yeah, it's not like Little Women or something. Come on,
Right.
It's gonna be like
So,
the ones that we posted on the pod, the Reddit, baby.
The movie we're watching this week is 1993, The Fugitive with Harrison Ford and Tommy Lee
Which
Jones.
I've never seen, so I'm actually really excited because I've heard good things.
It's
I guess.
classic.
I don't know.
It's classic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's classic. I've never really. It's kind of like it
I
doesn't have like
haven't-
diehard, energy behind it, but it's.
Right. I haven't seen it since I was a kid, but I do remember it because I saw it like 5 times as a kid. Because it's like both of my dads watched it quite a bit.
Yeah.
It's like my one dad to this day will make a one-armed man joke, which we'll probably talk about that.
That's a spoiler. I'm excited to now look out for One Man Arm.
That's it. It's not a full spoiler. You'll see. Yeah. But yeah, well, go watch The Fugitive. Watching that this next week, so that'll be hopefully coming out on time this next week. So thank you to everyone that commented, everyone that throughout the month watching driving movies. If you're on YouTube's, great. Come to the Reddit and come vote for the movies. Continue watching it here. Everyone on the Reddit, great. Come vote. Come tell us what's up. I want to know why you voted. Because, like, what did you vote for this week? Remember? You didn't even vote, did you?
No, I 100% voted, but
there's only like
no, it's because dude, it was hard because I had to choose between Life Aquatic, which is like one of my favorite movies.
Yeah, I was gonna do Life
something else.
Aquatic.
What the fuck? I picked Raising Arizona because I've seen Life Aquatic like 100 times and I've only seen Raising Arizona once.
Yeah.
And I don't quite. I remember like I know the plot just fine, and I know a lot of the funny scenes, but I'm like I don't really remember like I don't remember the whole thing. So
yeah.
Anyways,
it's great. I know I was torn between Life Aquatic and then but I ended up going with Unforgiven because I don't know why. Just like
yeah.
I think I'm jonesing to watch. I know. I think I'm just jonesing to watch Unforgiven. So it'll be back on the poll in a couple months in November.
In November,
yeah.
Everybody out there will
always do
watch
Western month in
Unforgiven.
November. So
yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Well,
thanks guys. Go to the Patreon. Come to Reddit.
Check it out.
All of our
we got all the stuff.
Our YouTube is popping off, baby. We want
Yeah,
to
if you're here
to
on the YouTube, comment.
Button.
Yeah, right. One day.
I don't know.
Days.
We don't do it, and I don't know how they do it, but it's something like like and
subscribe. Hit the algorithm, dude. Smash that like button.
Yeah, can you get a
Or the
get your
upvote
kitty out, smash
button,
it,
or the fucking.
smash that button.
What do they got on Spotify and follow us or whatever it is? I don't
Yeah,
know.
follow us. Yeah, we've got like some reviews, but I don't know how to read them or something. Maybe.
Yeah, something like that.
Come review us on
Dogs.
Spotify and everything.
Yeah, baby. We don't know how it works. We're just fumbling through it. So.
I love you guys. I know. Yeah, right. I don't know. We gotta find like an AI.
Yeah, I know. We need to hire a fucking Gen Z, or we're early 30s, but you would think we're like fucking 60. So, all right. So long.